Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tangle Time Arts. My name is Nana Heron, and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. And I am so excited to be here because it's day 20 of our impromptu Advent Tangles. Day 20. Christmas is right around the corner, and I am so not ready. But we've got our projects that we've been working through, and that just keeps me going. So today, for day 20, I thought we'd continue our exploration of fragments and reticula, but we're doing something a little different. So we are going to learn a tangle called Pangia, and then we will fill it with a fragment called mirth. For this project, we will need our basic supplies. So a white tile or sketchbook or white paper, a black pen, a number 2 pencil, a tortillon, and I'm keeping it really simple, but I want to be festive, so I have a red micron, and I also have the gold shadow jelly roll in green, just to add a little bit of metallic look to it. Okay, so Pangia. This is one of my favorite tangles, and I love it because I remember learning about Pangia, the supercontinent, um, many, many years ago. And Pangia eventually broke up into smaller continents like what we have today. And that's what this tangle looks like, the smaller continents. So we're going to start with that, and then we're going to fill with the fragment mirth. Um, Mirth is so fun and interesting that it needed its own name. And it was named after Maria's daughter, Martha. Just take away the A's and you have mirth. All right, let's get started. So we do also need something to draw a circle with. And today I'm just using this tape, and I am putting it on there and kind of hoping that, let's see, that it's pretty well centered. And then I'm just going to use my pencil to draw the circle. And you could also use a compass or something else to draw a circle with. You want a circle that's around 3 inches or just under 3 inches in diameter. And I think I'm going to go ahead and go with this. I don't know. It might be a little off, but that's okay. So just put the circle on there and then put my tape aside. And Reggie, come here. Come here, Reggie. And just checking on my puppy because every time I start recording, he gets into trouble. Come on, buddy. Go over there. Okay, he's all set now. All right, so we'll need our black pen. And we're going to start with our first little Pangia, or our little continent, if you want to think of it that way. And we're just going to use kind of a wavy line, but it's a wavy circle. So I'm going to start in the center. And I'm just making these waves. And yours might look different from mine. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine at all. It's just pretty random going around. Um, but you definitely want the wavy look going back and forth. And then here's where the continent part comes into play. So we're going to make another one, but it's not going to look like this one. We're going to start by doing an aura around a section of it, and then we'll veer off and make a different shape there. So these are all going to look a little bit different. I'm going to rotate. And I think I'll just come around here. I'm going to start off with this one. So we're doing an aura around these parts. And then when we come off of that, we do extra little loops. And it can kind of take on a life of its own. And now you can kind of see we're getting these patterns in here that look like continents. So we're working in a circle. So it's kind of like our little Earth. I'm going to come over here and come off of this one. So they're all going to look a little different. And yours will look different from mine. And we can put in, I don't know, should we leave this one a big one here, or should we break it up into a couple little ones? Let's see what happens here. Sometimes I don't know until I start putting it in how it's going to end up, and it's going to be one big one like that. So we have, Benji, come here. Let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 of them. You might have 5 or you might have 9. So we're all going to have different numbers of little Pangia or little continents in there. And you can use this to fill a space just by itself. But we are going to fill it with the fragment called mirth. And mirth is really fun because it's so interesting. And I forgot to mention that I'm working in black ink, but if you'd like to work in red ink, you can, because working in red will leave you something that looks kind of like a peppermint. And that's really cool too. But we already did a peppermint in one of our earlier projects. So black it is for me. And I like working in original materials anyway. So now I'm kind of picking an area with a bump here, and I'm just going to maybe not quite halfway down, but a little above halfway down. I'm going to just draw a C shape. And then from there, I'm just going to start at the right end and draw a line up. And then I'm going to add a little weight to the end of it. I'm going to do the same on the other side. And then we can add a couple more lines. Sometimes I like to put a break in the line. And you can add weight at the end if you'd like. From that part, we need to draw we need to fill in this area. So I start right here where our C meets this line here. And before I do that, I'm actually going to ink in this area here. Now we're going to draw from here out to the edge and add some weight. Just straight out. And we'll do that again and again. And we'll get the other side too. We're just going straight out, adding a little weight and coming back. Once we have those in, then we can work our way around. And I actually like to add a little curve to them, so they're not always going to be straight. And I just start filling in. So some of them are going to have broken lines and some of them are going to have solid lines. It just depends on really where I am on the paper, whether it's going to be a solid line or a broken line. So we have mirth in one little section of Pangia. So that's our center one. Now we're going to move out to another one. And let's start with something, well, let's just go to this one. That's fine. I have a little bump here. So I'm going to put in my C shape under that because that's always easiest. And it's not quite halfway down. It's a little closer to the top. And then I'm going to draw that first line. Now this is where it gets interesting because we can stay within our shape or we can go out of it. This one had to stay inside, fully inside that shape because it's kind of boxed in. But these, if we like, you can embellish this way and have these lines come out. And you can add a little weight to them. And then we're going to ink in this area. And put in the lines to the side. And then start coming around. I tend to work from the left to the right, so I'm going counterclockwise, but you can work clockwise if that works best for you. So when I do the lines that have a break in them, those are put on there very lightly. I'm not pressing very hard with my pen. It's a very light touch. Let's move over to this one. I don't really have a bump here for that one, but that's okay. I'll just put this in here and come out. So for this one, we just went straight up. But another thing you could do, and I'm just giving you options here. So normally I would just stick with one style, either this, or you can make the end a little more like fescue. So you can decide what look you like. Let's just do that. So you can pick between the fescue look or the more, this kind of reminds me of grass. So just giving you options for you to think about, or you don't have to come out. Like I said, you can keep them all inside too. So you have three really three different options there. Sometimes, depending on the shape, I'll come around about halfway and then I'll switch to the other side and work that way. All right, moving on. So I've got a nice bump there, and I'm going to put my C shape here. Well, this one can come out quite a lot. Add a little weight. I guess instead of calling it adding a little weight, we can also call it adding a little love. Uh, all right. Not a lot of space there, but we can fit that in. So this is a very organic process. You kind of just have to go with the flow. And it's very different from what we did yesterday with the triangles. That was a lot more structured. This is a lot more flowy. Both are fun and beautiful, but challenging in their own ways. And rotate again. And put my C there. I'm just gonna kind of alternate between the longer grass-like ones and the fescue-like ones. But you can pick whichever style you like or go with the third option, keeping them all inside. I do like to add a little bit of a curve to these when I put them in. It just seems a lot more natural that way. So as you can see, they're all a little bit different, but together they make something really, really cool. Um, so to me, I'm still picturing Earth for this project. Um, you could, even if you wanted to, you could make this an ornament and put a little cap on there if you wanted to. I'm not going to make an ornament today. I'm just keeping it a little bit festive, but very organic and flowy and very basic because we're learning a new concept here. All right, moving around. Let's just put our C right above the middle there. And again, with this one, we can go quite tall. Don't forget to ink in these little areas on the side. Just adds to the depth. All right. Now this one for me is a little larger of an area, so it's going to take me a little longer. So again, going out to the side, I like to add a little curve if I can. Sometimes it ends up a little curvier than other times. And then we start coming around. So you'll develop your own style with this because it's so flowy. your own creativity is going to shine through. I would say with this one, don't try to control it. Just go with the flow and see where it takes you. I never know how they're going to turn out because each shape is different and um, they just kind of fill in themselves. All right, now we're over here. This is a smaller one for me. So I'm just going to put this in. Keep this pretty small. All right. I feel like the bigger shapes are easier to work with, but we have all different sizes here. And be sure to rotate because it definitely helps filling these in. Like that. So it's a cute little one. Now we have this one. This one's kind of a wonky one, kind of a little weird. Um, that's okay. We're going to deal with it. Let's put our C shape this way and see what happens. A little weight on these, a little love, just a little bit. All right, and let's see what happens with this one. Kind of excited to see what happens with it because it ended up being kind of an oddly shaped one. But we just follow our pattern or tangle here. And it's going to fill itself in. All right. So we have our Pangia, which served as our reticula, which we filled in with the fragment mirth, which actually has its own name. A lot of the fragments have um, numbers, so they're not named, but they have like grid-like numbers. But this one actually has its very own name. So before I do a little shading, I'm going to come in with my red pen. Now, I feel like because I picture this as an earth. It would be cool to color in these spaces maybe blue, like they're rivers. But for today, because I want to be a little bit festive, I am going to come in with a red pen and make some connections between my little, I'm just going to call them continents there. So I'm going in and adding some contrast by creating these little connections here. So we're just putting in a little bit of color, not a lot. Just want something subtle, but with kind of has a lot of drama because it's black and red now. And I'm just connecting each one to each other. So I want them all anchored together. So I'm just looking for spaces between each that I could put a connection. Because if you're thinking about Pangia, this supercontinent, um, all the little continents used to be together in that one supercontinent. So it was one big piece. So we're just kind of showing the connections. So this part that I'm doing now is optional. Like I said, you could color that in blue or you can leave it white. Either way, it's going to look really, really good. You cannot go wrong with this one. Let's see. It helps to rotate to see where you need to add these. And I think we need one right here. Let's check and make sure they're all connected somehow. And they are. I think I'll just add one more right in here. No, I don't want any standalones. I just want to make sure they're connected. All right, cool. So we have a little bit of color in there. Now I'm going to do some shading. So let's shade each one of our fragments and Pangia first. So I like to add, I like to just go add some shading around here. And then I also like to add shading along the sides and all the way along that edge. So I like to do a lot of shading with this one. You might choose to not do a lot of shading, and that's okay. That's up to you. Um, I want to say I am using medium pressure here because I know I want these to have quite a lot of shading. I feel like shading is really important with this one. It gives it a lot of depth. It takes a little longer, yes, but it's definitely worth it. How are you doing with your shading? If you need more time, you can, of course, pause this. And we're about halfway done with the shading. Let's move on right along. Here's my tiny one. Yeah, I think we're all the way around to our last one. Yay. All right, cool. And because I want to emphasize the earth-like concept of this, I'm actually going to shade along the original circle that we put in. And that's optional too. You might not want to. All right, cool. Now we need our tortillon. And here it is. All right, so it's just a matter of blending in what we put in. I love using the tortillon. I feel like that's where the magic happens, is definitely with the shading. You can see now that it has some depth to it. Just checking to see how Benji's doing. He finally went to take a little nap. All right. This goes pretty quickly, the shading does. The blending does. But don't rush it. I definitely enjoy this part. And probably when I'm not filming, I probably take longer and just enjoy the process. It's always important to take time to enjoy the process and give yourself that little extra care. All right, I think we made it all the way around and did each of them. And now I'm going to actually do a little bit on the circle here. All right. And that part's done. And then I'm going to take my green pen here and I'm going to add some festive orbs, just randomly putting them in here and there. And I tend to put them in, like I'll tuck them in to this area. So I kind of start by placing them between, like, if you think of them as like leaves of grass or the little fescue. And let's see, this one's a little, yeah, this shape was a little wonky. I don't know. Sometimes that happens. It makes it interesting though. Oh, I'm just looking for spaces that an orb would make it even more interesting. And we kind of made it all the way around. I'm going to tuck an orb in here. Let's take a look. Where else would we like to add an orb? So once you get your initial orbs in, then it's just a matter of rotating around and adding them here and there to kind of round things out. There's no rhyme or reason as to why I'm adding one here or there, other than I feel like it needs it. All right. rotating around. And I leave a little bit of a white space in there. I think that about does it. So we have a little bit of shine there with the gold shadow pen. I don't want to overdo it. Um, I could add more outside of that, but I'm going to stop there. And I am going to actually add my initials. And let's see, where would I like to do that? I feel like maybe I should have put a little bit of a bridge in here. So I'm going to actually put my initials in with the red, kind of like it's part of one of the bridges. Okay, cute. So this could be an ornament if you wanted to make it an ornament. For today, I am happy with it the way that it is. Pangea and Mrth are one of my favorite combinations to work with. They're just so fun, and I love that it's so organic. And you just have to trust the process and go with the flow. Um, if you if you try to have structure with it, it makes it really hard. So just go with the flow. Um, let the shapes guide you. All right, let's fill in the back. I think the gold pen is dry now. So flip this over to put my name on there and the date. And this was our Advent Tangles. Day number 20. So we had Pangia. This tangle served as our tangle for the day, and also for it became the reticula by Zentangle. And we filled it with the fragment mirth. And that's also by Zentangle. So you can use other fragments in Pangia, but I always tend to go back to mirth. It's like they were made for each other. So in my mind, they're just a pair. All right. So that's our cool little project, our fun little project. I don't know, it could be a flower, actually, if you look at it that way. It could be many things. This could be many things. Make sure you take the time to rotate it around, especially this one, because no matter which angle you look at it, it's so interesting and there's just so much there to admire and really enjoy your work and give yourself a pat on the back because you're doing an awesome job and exploring your creativity too. So play around with that, try different things with it, make it an ornament if you wish, or make it a flower, or put in little rivers there with blue. Um, let me know. Let me know what you did and let me know your thoughts. All right. Thank you for joining me. We only have 4 more days of Advent tangling together. So I'm looking forward to that. And have a great day. I'll see you soon. And remember, I love you guys. Be well. Take care. Bye.